Hello and welcome. Let me start with a bold statement. The three most dangerous words in a professional conversation are not, "I hate you," or "you are fired." They are the three quiet words we use every single day. I don't know. Why dangerous? Because a flat, simple "I don't know" is a conversational dead end. It's a brick wall you throw up in the middle of a discussion. It can unintentionally signal disinterest, a lack of initiative, and in a high-stakes environment, it can subtly undermine your credibility. But what if I told you that these moments of uncertainty are actually your greatest opportunities? Opportunities to build trust, to demonstrate your value, and to become a more influential and effective communicator. Today, we are not just learning a list of phrases. We are learning a new communication strategy. We're going to deconstruct 20 everyday American phrases, powerful alternatives that will transform how you handle uncertainty. By the end of the session, you will have a complete toolkit to sound more natural, more confident, and significantly more intelligent. So, let's go deeper into the psychology of why a simple "I don't know" can be so problematic. Human conversation is built on a principle of reciprocity, a give and take. When someone asks you a question, they are offering a conversational ball. When you respond with a flat "I don't know" and nothing else, you're not just failing to answer. You're dropping the ball and walking off the court. It breaks the social contract. This can make you come across as cold, unhelpful, or even dismissive, even if that's not your intention. In a casual setting with friends, it can make you seem disengaged. In a professional setting with a client or your boss, it can be even more damaging, suggesting a lack of preparation or a passive attitude toward problem solving. It creates a credibility gap where the listener is left wondering if you're the right person to be talking to. The goal, therefore, is to replace that conversational brick wall with a bridge. The phrases we're about to discuss are all bridges. They acknowledge your lack of immediate information while simultaneously keeping the conversation moving, showing engagement, and signaling your value as a collaborative partner. This is a fundamental shift from being a passive informant to being a proactive communicator. Now, before we dive into our first phrase, a critical disclaimer: these are not magic words. Their power lies not just in what you say, but in how you say it. Your intonation, your facial expression, and your body language are just as important as the words themselves. You could say the most professional phrase in the world, but if you say it with a flat tone and a bored expression, the effect is lost. So, as we go through these, I want you to imagine yourself in the situation. Think about your delivery. A thoughtful phrase should be accompanied by a thoughtful expression, perhaps slightly raised eyebrows, a slight tilt of the head. A proactive phrase should be delivered with confident, open body language. The goal is to align your words, your tone, and your expression so that you are sending one clear, cohesive message. To help you with this, I'm going to categorize each phrase into one of three contexts: casual, for use with friends and close colleagues; formal, for business, academic, or professional settings; and all-purpose, the flexible tools that work almost anywhere. Pay close attention to these labels to make sure you're using the right tool for the right job. All right, let's build our toolkit. 1. I'm not sure. This is your number one go-to replacement. It's all-purpose and is the Swiss Army knife of uncertainty. Psychologically, it's far superior to "I don't know" because it implies a process. It suggests that you have actively scanned your mental files and come up short, which is a subtle act of engagement. In a professional setting, if a colleague asks, "What time is the meeting tomorrow?" responding with, I'm not sure. Let me pull up the calendar," sounds collaborative and thoughtful. In a casual setting, it's just as effective. "Is that new restaurant any good?" "I'm not sure. I haven't heard much about it yet." The key to delivery here is a thoughtful, slightly questioning intonation. The at the beginning is a great softener. It signals that you are considering the question seriously, even if you don't have the answer. 2. I have no idea. Now, let's move to the other end of the spectrum. This phrase is super casual, and it's used to express a much stronger degree of not knowing. It's not just a statement of fact. It's a performance of complete bewilderment. Psychologically, this phrase creates a sense of camaraderie. When you say, "I have no idea," You're often inviting the other person to share in your confusion. For example, if a friend asks, "Why did they cancel our favorite TV show?" A flat, "I don't know," is a conversational dead end. But a dramatic, "Oh man, I have no idea. It's crazy, right?" turns it into a shared moment of frustration. Use this with friends and close colleagues. The delivery is key. Emphasize the word idea and pair it with expressive body language, like a shrug or raised hands. I have no idea. 3. I'm not certain. Let's put our business suit back on for this one. This phrase is distinctly formal. It is the preferred choice in professional or academic settings where precision matters. The word certain carries more weight than sure. Using this phrase signals that you are a careful, deliberate thinker. When your boss asks, "Is the client definitely going to sign the contract today?" saying, "I'm not certain, but all indications are positive. I'm waiting for final confirmation from their legal team," sounds incredibly professional. It communicates that you understand the stakes and you don't want to give unverified information. A common mistake to avoid is using this in a very casual setting. If your friend asks if you want pizza, saying "I'm not certain" would sound very strange and robotic. Stick to professional context for this one. 4. That's a good question. This is a genius communication tool. It's all-purpose and serves a brilliant dual function. It validates the person asking the question, making them feel intelligent, and it buys you a few precious seconds to think. This is your best friend in Q&A sessions, interviews, or any situation where you're put on the spot. Someone asks a tough question like, "What do you predict will be the biggest challenge for our industry in the next 5 years?" Instead of panicking, you can calmly lean back, smile, and say, "Wow, that's a good question. My initial thought is..." This phrase instantly transforms you from someone who is being tested into someone who is leading a thoughtful discussion. It gives you control of the conversational dynamic while you access the files in your mental library. 5. I'll find out. This is one of the most powerful phrases you can use in a professional setting. It is all-purpose and it is a promise. It transforms you from a passive informant into a proactive, valuable team member. The psychological message of "I'll find out" is, "I am taking ownership of this problem for you." When a new colleague asks, "Who's in charge of approving the budget for this project?" and you respond with, "I'm not sure who the new manager is. But don't worry, I'll find out and let you know by the end of the day," you have just demonstrated reliability and initiative. A pro tip here is to always give a time frame, like by the end of the day. It adds another layer of professionalism and manages the other person's expectations, showing that you are not just making an empty promise. 6. Let me check. This is the immediate, action-oriented cousin of "I'll find out." It is also all-purpose and signals instant helpfulness. You're not just promising to find the information later, you're starting the process right now. This is perfect for questions of fact that can be quickly looked up. A friend asks, "What time does the movie start?" Instead of a passive "I don't know," you pull out your phone and say, "Let me check the app." You have instantly become the most helpful person in the group. In a work context, it's just as powerful. A client asks, "Can you confirm the delivery date for our order?" You can say, "Of course. Let me check the system for you right now." It conveys confidence and a commitment to service. 7. My best guess would be. This is a fantastic phrase for situations where you have some knowledge, but are not 100% certain. It's all-purpose and allows you to offer a helpful opinion while still managing expectations. The psychology here is about honesty and intellectual humility. You are not pretending to know everything. You are clearly stating that this is an educated guess, not a confirmed fact. For example, "What time do you think the traffic will get bad?" A great response is, My best guess would be around 4 p.m., but it could be earlier if it rains." This phrase is excellent because it allows you to be helpful without taking on the liability of being wrong. You are providing your insight while clearly labeling it as such. 8. I haven't looked into that yet. This is another powerful, formal phrase for your professional toolkit. It's similar to "I don't have the answer right now," but it's more specific. It implies that the topic is on your radar, but you just haven't had the chance to research it. This phrase signals that you are organized and methodical. In a project update meeting, your manager might ask, "What are the results of the user survey from last week?" If you haven't analyzed the data yet, you can confidently say, "I haven't looked into that data yet, but I have it scheduled for this afternoon, and I'll have a summary for you by tomorrow." This is a world away from a simple "I don't know." It shows that you have a plan, you are in control of your workflow, and you are taking responsibility for the information. 9. I'm not the best person to answer that. This is an incredibly intelligent and strategic phrase to use. It is all-purpose, and it's about redirecting the question to the true expert. It shows self-awareness and a commitment to getting the other person the best possible answer, not just your answer. Imagine a new employee asks you a highly technical question about the company's software. Instead of trying to guess and potentially giving them wrong information, you can say, "I'm not the best person to answer that. The real expert is Sarah from the IT department. Let me introduce you." You have not only avoided giving a bad answer, but you have also been incredibly helpful by connecting them to the right resource. This builds your reputation as a reliable and trustworthy colleague. 10. That's something I'm also curious about. This is a wonderful, collaborative phrase. It's all-purpose, and it turns a moment of not knowing into a moment of shared discovery. When someone asks you a question you don't know the answer to, this phrase validates their curiosity and aligns you with them as a fellow learner. For example, do you know if the company is planning to expand into the Asian market next year? A great response is, "That's something I'm also curious about. I haven't seen any official announcements, but I'll be sure to share any information I find." This phrase is especially good for building rapport with colleagues or clients. It transforms a simple question into a shared interest, fostering a sense of teamwork and mutual exploration. 11. I'll have to get back to you on that. This is a classic, professional formal phrase. It's a clear and respectful way to defer an answer without appearing dismissive. The psychological power of this phrase is that it sets a clear expectation of future action. It's a promise. In a client call, if you're asked a question that requires data you don't have, saying, "I'll have to get back to you on that," is perfectly acceptable and professional. It shows you're not going to guess, you're going to give them a researched, accurate answer. To make this even more powerful, always pair it with a time frame. For example, "That's a great question. I'll have to get back to you on that. Can I send you an email with the details this afternoon?" This adds a layer of reliability that clients and colleagues deeply appreciate. 12. It's on the tip of my tongue. This is a very human and relatable phrase. It's casual and it's used for those frustrating moments when you know the answer, but you just can't access it in that second. This phrase is great because it communicates that you do have the knowledge. You're just experiencing a temporary retrieval failure, which is something everyone experiences. If a friend asks, "What was the name of that actor in the movie we saw last week?" you can say, "Oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue. He was in that other show. Give me a second. It'll come to me." This turns a moment of forgetting into a fun, collaborative game of trying to remember. It's much more engaging than a simple "I don't know." 13. I could be wrong, but I think. This is a brilliant phrase for offering a tentative answer. It's all-purpose, and it's a perfect way to share your knowledge while still showing humility and acknowledging that you might not be 100% correct. The psychology here is about lowering the stakes. By saying "I could be wrong," you give yourself permission to not be perfect, which can actually make you feel more confident to speak up. For example, in a brainstorming session, "I could be wrong, but I think our target audience might be younger than we initially assumed." This phrase allows you to contribute your ideas to the conversation in a low-risk way, inviting others to confirm, deny, or build upon your thought. 14. I'm drawing a blank right now. This is another very human and relatable casual phrase. Drawing a blank is a common idiom for when your mind suddenly goes empty. It's a great way to express that you can't remember something at this particular moment. This phrase is effective because it's a shared human experience. If a colleague asks you for a specific detail from a meeting last month, you could say, "You know what? I'm drawing a blank right now. Let me check my notes and I'll get right back to you." It's an honest and disarming way to admit you can't remember, and it sounds much more natural and less dismissive than a blunt, "I don't know," or "I forgot." 15. Beats me. This is the ultimate, super short, super casual phrase. It's a very informal, almost playful way of saying, "I have no idea." You would only use this with close friends or in very relaxed situations. The phrase itself is a bit of an old-fashioned idiom, but it's still used widely. If your friend asks a completely random question like, "Why is the sky blue?" you could just shrug and say with a smile, "Beats me." It's a quick, easy, and friendly way to signal that you have absolutely no information on the topic, and you find that fact slightly amusing. Never use this in a professional or formal setting. 16. Your guess is as good as mine. This is a collaborative and humble phrase. It's casual to all-purpose depending on the tone. You use it when someone asks you a question about something that is unpredictable or that neither of you has any information about. The psychological effect is to put you both on the same level. You are saying, "I don't have any special knowledge on this topic either. We are in the same boat." For example, if a colleague asks, "Do you think the boss will approve our budget proposal?" you could reply, "Honestly, your guess is as good as mine. It all depends on the quarterly results." This phrase fosters a sense of shared uncertainty and teamwork, rather than making it seem like you are withholding information. 17. Let me give that some thought. This is a very intelligent and thoughtful formal phrase. You use it in response to a complex question that doesn't have a simple, factual answer, but requires an opinion or a strategic thought. This phrase signals that you are taking the question seriously and that you are not going to give a quick, superficial answer. In a meeting, if you are asked, "What is your long-term vision for this department?" a very powerful response is, "That's a significant question. Let me give that some thought, and I will come back to you with a more detailed response." This shows respect for the question and positions you as a strategic, deliberate thinker. 18. I'm not the right person to ask. This is a slight variation of "I'm not the best person to answer," but it's a bit more definitive. It is all-purpose and is used when you have zero knowledge of a topic. This phrase is about maintaining your own credibility. It's better to honestly admit that something is outside your area of expertise than to try and guess and give a wrong answer. If someone asks you a question about a different department's work, you can say, "Actually, I'm not the right person to ask about that. You should probably talk to someone from the marketing team." Like its cousin phrase, this allows you to be helpful by redirecting, while also protecting your own reputation as a reliable source of information within your specific domain. 19. That's a bit out of my wheelhouse. This is a friendly, slightly informal, but still work-appropriate idiom. It is casual to all purpose. Your wheelhouse is your area of expertise. So, this phrase is a very natural and humble way of saying that a topic is outside your knowledge base. It's softer and more modern than saying, "I don't know anything about that." For example, if a discussion turns to a very technical software topic you're not familiar with, you could say with a smile, "I'll be honest, this is a bit out of my wheelhouse, but I'm eager to learn more." This phrase allows you to be honest about your limitations while still showing a positive and curious attitude. 20. That requires a bit more research. This is a final, highly professional formal phrase. It is a fantastic tool to use when you are asked for data or a conclusion that you cannot provide on the spot. This phrase positions you as a data-driven, analytical professional. It signals that you don't just give opinions, you give researched, evidence-based answers. In a strategy meeting, if you're asked, "Which market should we prioritize for expansion?" a great response is, "That requires a bit more research to answer properly. I can analyze the market data and have a recommendation for you by our next meeting." This shows due diligence and a commitment to quality, turning a moment of not knowing into an opportunity to demonstrate your thorough and professional approach. Okay, so we've just built an incredible toolkit of 20 powerful phrases. But now we need to add the final, secret ingredient that ties it all together. This is a principle that will elevate you from someone who just has a good vocabulary into someone who is seen as a leader and a problem solver. We call it the proactive principle. The principle is simple but profound. Never deliver a problem like "I don't know," without also offering a path to a solution. A passive communicator states a fact and stops. A proactive communicator acknowledges the situation and immediately builds a bridge to the next step. Let's look at the before and after. Before, what time is the meeting? I'm not sure. Silence. The conversation is now on the other person to revive. After, what time is the meeting? I'm not sure, but let me pull up the calendar for us. The difference in energy and helpfulness is massive. You are taking responsibility for moving the interaction forward. This builds trust, it builds rapport, and it builds your reputation as someone who gets things done. All right, what an incredible deep dive. We have deconstructed a common communication challenge and built a sophisticated toolkit of solutions. Let's do a final recap, but let's do it thematically to help you remember. First, your professional power phrases for formal settings. I'm not certain, I don't have the answer right now, and let me give that some thought. These are your tools for demonstrating competence and credibility. Second, your casual and connecting phrases for chats with friends. I have no idea, beats me, and your guess is as good as mine. These are your tools for building rapport and shared experience. And third, your proactive and helpful phrases that work almost anywhere. I'll find out, let me check, and I'm not the best person to answer, but let me connect you. These are your tools for building a reputation as a valuable and reliable person. But remember, the most important lesson today is that this was never really about the words themselves. It was about a fundamental shift in mindset. It's about seeing moments of uncertainty not as a test of your knowledge that you might fail, but as an opportunity to demonstrate your character, your helpfulness, your honesty, your proactivity, and your collaborative spirit. So here is my final challenge to you. For the next 7 days, I want you to conduct an experiment. I want you to completely ban the phrase "I don't know" from your vocabulary. Act as if it doesn't exist. This will feel awkward at first, but this constraint will force your brain to get creative. It will force you to reach for one of the more powerful and thoughtful tools you learned today. This small change, practiced consistently for just 1 week, will have a massive and lasting impact on how you communicate and how you are perceived by others. Thank you for investing your time and your focus today. The ability to communicate with confidence and grace is a superpower, and it is a skill that you can build, one small phrase at a time. If you found this masterclass valuable, please give it a like so that others can find it, and subscribe for more deep dives into the art of effective communication. And my final question for you, which one of these phrases are you most excited to try out this week? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Now go out there and communicate with confidence.